In 2003, a Swedish philosopher named Nick Bostrom published 3 pages of mathematical equations. He didn't claim that there are green glowing numbers floating in the air, or that spoons don't exist. Bostrom simply calculated the statistical probability of humanity reaching a stage of technological maturity. And the conclusion was chilling: if a civilization manages not to destroy itself before reaching that point, the number of virtual worlds they would run to simulate their own past would outnumber real worlds by billions. Which means, statistically speaking, right now, there is a 99% chance you are looking at a screen inside a simulation. But that was just the surface. The real horror show started when experimental physicists entered the room. When you boot up a modern video game, your computer doesn't render the entire map at once. That would literally melt the hardware. The engine only renders the exact room you are looking at right now. Everything else is just a potential file sleeping on a drive. In the early 1900s, scientists set up the famous double-slit experiment and stumbled upon something deeply unsettling. As long as nobody is measuring the particle, it behaves like a wave of possibilities. It doesn't actually exist in any single spot. But the moment they placed a detector to spy on which specific slit the photon went through, the particle instantly materialized in one definitive place. The wave collapsed. The universe behaved exactly like a video game engine. It saved computational power. The physical world doesn't render unless you are looking at it. Your brain reads it as reality, but it is just code optimization. If this reality is built on a processor, that processor must have a maximum clock speed. A speed limit. And we found it. In physics, it is called the speed of light, roughly 300 kilometers per second. Why can't anything go faster than light? Why does the universe bend space and time just to stop you from breaking that limit? Because if you go faster, you move into frames that haven't been calculated yet. You cause a system crash. Think about black holes. When too much mess gets packed into one tiny point, gravity becomes infinite. At the center of a black hole, time literally stops, and space breaks down into what physicists call a singularity. But in software terms, a singularity is just a classic divide by zero error. The hardware couldn't handle the density, so it left a pixelated glitch in the middle of space. Every digital screen is made of pixels. If you zoom in close enough, the smooth image disappears. The same thing happens to our universe when you zoom into the fabric of space. You eventually hit the Planck length, the absolute smallest unit of distance possible. You cannot move half a Planck length. The universe is quantized. It is not smooth. It is built out of discrete 3D pixels. But why would the developers design it this way? To understand that, we have to look at how your brain is actively lying to you. When you look at a ripe red apple, you think you are perceiving a physical object in a real world. But you aren't. Your eyes are just catching photons, converting them to electrical signals, and your skull acts as a dark room. Evolutionary biologist Donald Hoffman proved that if our ancestors saw reality as it truly is, we would have gone extinct. The brain doesn't give you truth, it gives you a desktop interface. An icon of a file on your computer screen is blue and rectangular. But the actual file is a collection of thousands of magnetic fields on a silicon chip. If you had to read the raw binary code just to open a text document, your computer would be useless. Space and time are just the desktop, physical objects are just the icons. Our entire biological interface is a simulation built to keep us alive. So if our bodies are the avatars and space-time is the engine, who owns the server? This is where the corporate system merges with the cosmic one. Look at modern tech companies. They spent the last 2 decades building an infrastructure designed to predict your next choice. Every click, every pause, every swipe is processed by algorithms to build a digital twin of your psyche. They don't just predict what you want anymore. They render the environment so that you only want what they have available. The corporate matrix didn't need to build a simulation out of wires and pods. They just hacked the biological interface you already had. It is easy to look at the math, the quantum mechanics, and the corporate traps and feel completely powerless. You feel like a glitching piece of code trapped inside a system that was rigged before you were even born. But there is a flaw in their design. A simulation only works as long as the avatar believes the screen is real. The moment you realize the wall is just an optimization trick, the code loses its grip on you. You didn't lose the game of life. You were just playing on a desktop interface, completely unaware that you are the one holding the mouse. Welcome to the real world, or at least the closest version of it we are allowed to see.